Good morning, Dan and Amy. And so I know we've got a lot to talk about with respect to the Supreme Court and Obamacare replacement, but let's keep it local because our old friend Charles Thomas, you know him as a longtime political reporter for ABC7 in Chicago. He has launched a new outlet called the Chicago Drum. The Chicago Drum, like, beating the drum. ChicagoDrum.com. The tagline, inspiring Chicago's black community with restored hope, renewed spirit, and rediscovered opportunities. And we're pleased to have Charles Thomas join us now to talk a little bit about his new project. Charles, thanks for being with us.
Hey, Dan. Good hearing your voice again, man. Good morning, Amy.
Hi.
So I thought you were just going to fish and play golf in retirement, but no. Lo and behold, you've got the Chicago Drum that you've launched. Give us the rationale for it and what the Chicago Drum aims to offer in terms of content that's specifically geared towards the black community in Chicago.
Well, I left Chicago. I left ABC7 to do this project, basically. I mean, they wanted me to stay, but I've been thinking about this for the last several years and have been putting a lot in place to do it. And it's essentially what we want to do at the Drum is to change the narrative regarding the black community. First, understand that the black community is no longer focused on the south and west sides of Chicago, that African Americans are spread all about this area. In fact, most African Americans in the Chicago region, 1.3 million, live in the suburbs. They live in Proviso Township, Thornton Township, and the south suburbs. Proviso, of course, is in the west. Rich, Bloom Townships. These are suburban people, homeowners, who basically are being left out of the coverage. I mean, what we hear a lot about in the mainstream media, Pookie shot Ray Ray, and all the dysfunction that happens in these hardcore inner-city neighborhoods, when in fact the black middle class has abandoned those neighborhoods. And they have different concerns, things that they do, that they talk about, political issues and such. So we want to shift the focus, change the narrative of the black community, and basically show it for what it is. Secondly, maybe primarily, we want to change the political paradigm in the black community. A lot of the concerns of black people are not social programs. We care about property taxes too, but our political leadership doesn't express that.
Well,
I think what we are going to do, one of the things that the Drum will do is hold our black elected officials accountable to black people, the main body politic of the black community. These are two of the principal purposes of this project. We want to make black people honest brokers of their own political power. This business of going out there and voting 95% Democrat all the time has got to stop. We have to begin to look at candidates for what they offer our communities. For instance, when the governor talks about a property tax freeze, black homeowners, they support that. But you never believe that by looking at what some of the political rhetoric that we hear from our black elected officials. So these are some of the issues that we will mine at the ChicagoDrum.com.
So, Charles, do you think the African-American community and communities, whether they're in the city or in the suburbs, have been brainwashed by the Democratic Party?
The Democratic Party, I think, in the 1960s served the black community, given the Lyndon Johnson Goldwater race, if you remember that one. If you're old enough, I am, fortunately, old enough to remember that. And then on through the 1980s, when a civil rights leader like the Reverend Jesse Jackson became a Democrat, he sort of sealed the deal at that point. But the Democratic Party over the past 30 years has not served black people well. If you look, particularly here in Illinois, where African Americans have the highest black unemployment rate in the country. In the country. We beat all the southern states, the old legacy slave states. Our black unemployment rate is the highest in the country. So how does this happen when we have, by the way, more black elected officials than any state in the country. And they're all Democrats, by the way.
Really? I didn't know that.
And,
that's interesting.
Yeah, we have more black elected officials in Illinois than any state in the country, including California.
Well, and it seems to me, going back to something you said just a minute ago, Charles, about holding those elected officials of whom you speak accountable. So the question is, you have more black elected officials than any state in the country. You have the black community voting in lockstep with the Democrats. So how's it working out? Accountability to me is less about, so vote Republican instead. Accountability is just the people in office. Are your interests being advanced? Are things getting better for you, or are things getting worse? And why is it so difficult to put that calculus to black families in Chicago, Chicagoland?
I don't think it is. I mean, I think what we need is a voice. We need to give voice to the people, because the people haven't had the voice. What you have are elected officials who are financed by the Democratic Party, who are speaking on behalf of African American voters, when in fact they don't really express what people feel. If you go out there and you ask people about, for instance, their property taxes, a homeowner in the south suburbs, which pay the highest property taxes in the region, ask them what they think about a property tax freeze, and they'll tell you.
But here's the thing that
they support it.
Right,
but how do you?
So going back to your project, the Chicago Drum. So how do you essentially broaden that perspective? Because part of the problem, and this is a great rationale for your outlet, is those black families or black individuals who support school choice or who support property tax freeze.
Another issue.
Yeah, but they're never elevated in the Chicago press corps, or it's much like D.C.
Exactly.
They're not allowed.
Never give them voice.
Yeah, they're not.
Never give them voice.
Right, and so is that it's going to be telling their stories, providing that perspective, trying to get people to think differently.
Absolutely. You give voice to those people instead of always going to those who are dependent on social programs. You go to those who actually pay taxes, and you talk to them about what they think. And that it seems subtle, but it's very powerful, because when you give voice to those people, then you understand that the narrative has to change, because, again, they're hearing each other and they hear the support that you get from hearing other voices like yours. And I think that's what's missing in this marketplace. But let me tell you something, Dan. The people I believe who are most resistant to this idea?
The politicians?
White liberals.
Oh, that too. Absolutely.
Oh my God. They know that if the Democrats in the state do not receive 95% of the black vote, this state goes red. They get that. They know that. So they want this sleepwalking on the part of black voters. They are encouraging it. This project scares the living hell out of them.
Well, here's the other reason why I think it does, is because, let's just be real here. Black families, for Champaign socialists, liberals on the lakefront and the North Shore, they're mascots for them. That's who they use to virtue signal.
Absolutely.
And so the worst thing that could happen is for black families to be independent of the government.
Absolutely. Because then what do you have? And then you have this mass exodus of black people from Illinois. They're leaving not only the city, they're leaving the state. They're going elsewhere. And that's documented. In fact, we've seen stories about that over the past several weeks here in Chicago, the mass exodus of blacks from the city and from the suburbs moving to other states. And where are they going? They're going to right-to-work states. Give me a break. Come on. What's going on? I mean, these people are voting with their feet. Now, you tell me, if I tap into that sentiment and tell that story from an individual basis, why are you leaving? What's going on? What did you find in Texas? What did you find in Tennessee? Why are you moving there? What's going on? Ask those people to tell those stories. That's what the mainstream media in Chicago is not doing. And then one other point, which I should make here, prior to this project, prior to me leaving Channel 7, I mean, everybody wanted me to be on Chicago Tonight. You know, the liberal cafe.
Yeah, WTTW.
Well, Matt talking to Winnetka.
Right, but now that they see that I have a different point of view.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
What's up?
No longer in the club?
You don't see your boy anywhere anymore, right?
See, that's
not that I care. I really don't care about
no,
it.
but your voice needs to be heard, Charles.
Yeah, but it's a good point.
But
It's a
nobody
good
wants
point.
to hear this voice.
That's right.
Nobody wants to hear a voice that goes against the traditional liberal democratic orthodoxy.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to hear that voice. But that's what the drum will do. We will give voice to a different point of view within the black community. And I'm not saying that the Democrats can't come around and do the right thing, and you know, hey, maybe Democrats are where you need to be. I don't know, but we're going to call them out. We're going to call them out. I mean, they're doing things like we had. I got to mention this, but I mean, you know, I'm on a competing radio program in the morning.
Yeah, that's all right.
But we had J.B. Pritzker come in one morning. You know, the leading candidate. And he comes in one morning and he starts to brag about how he just got the endorsement of the Building Trades Council. Well, we asked him, he said, the Building Trades Council? You mean the unions, construction trade unions? The guys that don't hire black people? You're coming in here to this and telling us that this is a good thing? This is one reason we should vote for you?
Oh, my. What'd he say?
You know, he called his Uncle Schmales.
Like he looked at me like, whoa, what is this? And then his people who were there with him, they looked at him like, whoa, what's this about? What's this about? But that black people are outraged by the fact that the building trades in this city do not hire them. You look at any project downtown, you don't see any black folks, but they're a big part of that Democratic Party coalition. We're supposed to celebrate that? Come on.
This is going to be fun. Your project, the Chicago Drum. I mean, not just fun but purposeful, telling voices that don't get an audience, stories that aren't being told by the Chicago press corps, such as it is, and from somebody who was a esteemed member of it right until he retired and started this project. The ChicagoDrum.com. Charles Thomas. Yeah, it's great. No, I mean, we're looking forward. I'm going to be following it. I'm looking forward to reading this routinely and helping to amplify the stories you're telling.
And we'll have you come on again.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
All right.
Good.
All right. Now that
I'll keep you posted, guys.
All right. Now that we've done all your show prep for you, go do your show.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Charles.
Bye now.
Appreciate it.
Bye. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.